Welcome to this episode of ComSpeak. Today we have with us Prema Sagar. Prema Sagar is the principal and founder of Genesis Public Relations, today known as Genesis BCW. Prema now officiates as the chairperson of BCW Group in India. Welcome Prema, and thanks for joining us for this conversation.
Welcome, and I'm just enjoying myself on sitting here in such a lovely place, and it's nice to know what you want to ask me.
Yes, we'll ask you about your life story in the world of public relations. We'll start by going back to 1992, 27 years ago. Tell us about how it all began. How did you get into starting what you call Genesis Public Relations, which has now transformed to become Genesis BCW? Tell us the story.
You know, it just happened, and there was a person who had a book, and it spoke about public relations, and I said, "What is this?" And I read that book, and I said, "I have to do something different," and so therefore I will start working with a few people. And after reading the book, we said, "Okay, we are public relations people."
What is the book called?
It was actually a long time ago in UK. You know that on my room, you see the pictures. There are people from India went, and in UK and other countries, and that training is, in 27 years I've forgotten the name of it, but I will definitely tell you about it in my office. But it was so simple, and now public relations is difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you call the name of the company Genesis? Can you tell us the story behind that?
That's a real story. My dad being an Indian Air Force, and he was very angry when I said that I'm going to do a business. And he said, "No, we do not do business." And I, of course, because the more he tells me no, I do more. And that's what I did in the basement in Delhi and started the business. And I think there were 3 other companies. Sadly, yes, some of them have gone. But it is a way in which the world has changed. That is what I'm still wondering about. Because at that time, everything was positive, it was good, everything for people and yourself. Now, ethics is the biggest problem.
Right. So how did you get your first 1 or 2 clients? Tell us those incidents that led to you winning your first account, first client business.
Park Hotel, and it's still with us.
How did that happen?
This is started with talking in hotels, because I had another business as well. But what I think is that when you go to a hotel and start talking to people, they do talk to you, and they tell you you can talk to other hotels, and that's how the PR started. And that helped, because a lot of people got to know what it is about, and I would tell them, media, when we talk to the media, what does Park Hotel or any other hotel, and so why are they different from each other? And that is the way slowly we grew.
Interesting. And then you began to hire people. So how did you find talent back in the 90s? Because people hardly knew of PR as a career choice. Today people know of it to some extent. So how did you find the right people who you would hire to become part of Genesis in the early 90s?
I didn't know that people who we said told somebody who told somebody who told somebody. And years later, I realized that most of them, not only just 1 or 2, most of them are from military. And they said they wanted just a job. And we want to learn. And it's not about money. And they are still here.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic.
You have 2 of them who have been there for almost as long as the company has been there. Deepshika for 26 years,
Yeah.
and Sheena for 25 years,
Yeah.
and a few others who've spent.
Nandita,
Yes.
Archana,
Yes.
everyone. So it is, I'm just love it. I just love it.
Interesting. And how did it feel like when the first couple of people who joined you in your early years moved on to start their own companies? I mean, it must have been bittersweet that you launched them into a career in PR, and then Nandita went to start practice, Archana PR Pandit. So how was that entire experience of letting them go?
Yes, why not? First was the first person going or second person. I obviously felt sad and said, but I'm so proud.
We'll come back to the PR talk, but we'll
Yeah.
go back to many, many years ago. Forget the year. But tell us about your growing up years, your childhood. Which are the cities you lived in, because your father was in the Air Force, and schools you went to. Tell us more about that, Prema.
See, it's a tough one because it's a long story, but I'll just do it very shortly. My mother being a Swiss, my father being from, it's difficult to say because at that time he was born in the India and then came Pakistan and India. Then he was sent to UK. They met over there. When they came together and I was born, and being in those, I can't believe how they didn't even have money for clothes of me as being so small. So my mother used to make small things and made it together, and she knew only about 10 English words. So I also don't know that how I grew up, and I think it is because my dad was very much in telling us that you have to do for your country, not for yourself, and that is it.
Interesting. So which city do you remember spending most of your happy childhood days in?
It was Bangalore, I'm telling you. I loved it. I don't love it anymore. Just going all the way is too much to go. But I still love the people. And so Delhi mostly I've been.
Right.
And so that was good. And came to Gurgaon, I don't know how many, 30 years ago. There were hardly anything here, and it was impossible. There was just no. Do you know we had no phones for 1.5 years? You didn't. It was a problem, but actually it was fine.
Right.
Why today we can't do without our phones?
Right. And very few people know that you happen to be born in Kanpur. Have you ever gone back to Kanpur after you were born there?
I was born.
That's it.
I don't know.
No, you haven't. So we'll come back to your life in PR. Tell us about 1 or 2 campaigns that you worked on in the early years before social media, before digital, before the online world, in the early 90s when you started Genesis. Tell us 1 or 2 campaigns, because I want people to know what campaigns were like 25 years ago. Because today everything is on Twitter and Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
Tell us about 1 or 2 campaigns that stood out for you in your early years.
So there are 2 things I'll tell you. Going back to Park Hotel. And Park Hotel had 8% of people in that hotel. So what I said...
8% occupancy.
Oh, yeah. So what happens is that we will do an event. We'll have the CEO of any, say, Unilever, we got anybody. Once a month, we would get a big person, and we put it in the newspaper, and then the next thing was that people wanted, those chairs were full. And I said, only thing was I needed to do was to get people into the hotel. Otherwise, what will you do? So we did that. And there used to be really tea and coffee only after that. You met each other. It helped me also. And for them, for what the talks were. That time, today you can get CEOs any amount. That time, you could never get a CEO.
Right.
So then we also started, having dinners. So that's where you're talking with each other. And so that is where we felt that Park Hotel, I still love it till today. And I think it did good for us and the other way as well. So that's what it is. And it went on for many, many years. And it's too long for me to tell you what all was happened.
Okay.
But, if I'm going to put this into a book, I think some of these are already, I have them. Did I give you the book?
The one you launched for 25 years of Genesis?
Yes.
Yes, I have that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we're going to make it a new book,
Right.
starting from 27 years ago.
Interesting.
That I'm really looking forward to, because some of my colleagues remember the funny stories, etc., and all of that. So they know it, they remember it so much.
Tell us one funny story.
Now, what can you say? You had Deepshikha, and she used to come down and go down with her hair all wet every morning, every time, running in, because 9 a.m. you have to be there, military. And so she would come there, and then after that, I told her, I said, you got a boyfriend? That's why you were getting late? And she said, no, but her face was red. And so I said to her, now this is business and forget about your boyfriend. We have to do lots. And so she said, even now if I say that, she'll be, sort of wondering why I talk like this. The other thing is that people, what they didn't like or they laughed. I hate things around. So what they used to do is there's things they used to put in there underneath, and then they would, so I go and see and I open and I find mess.
Clutter.
I put it upside down on the table and I said, this is not a company if we can't look after our own things.
Interesting.
And then we also, that's how it is. And then one day I said, Archana, I need to take a holiday. Can you go to Bombay and get a place and start an office there? And I just said it. When I came back, oh my God, money's gone. It's all started on Bombay was Deepshikha also. And then then we started Bangalore, and then of course Calcutta. And each one of them did a good job of it. And I was very proud of them because I was talking about it, but they did it for us.
Interesting.
So that was also.
So building on what you started with Genesis PR, you also started PRCAI and then PAFI later on. Tell us about what led to you starting PRCAI. How do you talk to your other peers or competitors at that time to build this association together?
I had gone to UK, and I learned a lot. I took money from here, there, and that time. And so when I went there, I said, there's only one Indian in it. How can be? Why is India not in it? So then it took me 7 years to get PRCAI made, because they had to, 7 companies have to come together. So can you imagine that it took, why? Because someone doesn't like that one, something, this thing, and whatever. It was too much. So what we said, one day said, either we do it or we throw it. And then after 7 years, it started. And I'm happy that everybody is doing good about it. But I think we need to go way beyond. I don't hear it. So that's the one which is
interesting.
PRCAI.
So coming back to Genesis again, I think before Burson Mastella happened, you were also an affiliate of another global firm, Edelman, if I'm right, was your affiliate partner. How did that change happen, and how did Burson come on board?
Yeah, well, actually, you know how many people had come to our office in the basement, and they said,
This basement is in Sainik Farms,
yeah,
right?
not so, no.
Arkipuram,
Yes.
right.
So what happened is that when they came and said, can we be partners? I said, listen, I don't understand. It'll take a long time. Some German company, some the other one, something. It was quite a lot. I didn't know what I should do. So I said, we'll see in time to come. And one day Deepshikha came and said that, when will we have international? So I said, So she said, which one do you think is the best? And I said, of course, Burson.
Right.
And that's when I went to US. And there's another story, of course, I can't tell you, it's too long. But it was something that we loved, and they loved us. We were doing the same things. And that's why you have to be same. It's like how the husband and wife, either you got it or you didn't get it. And that worked, and that's why we have such a wonderful.
So I was fortunate 2 years ago to meet Mr. Harold Burson for the second time in my life in the US. And sad thing, he moved on a few months ago.
Yes.
So tell us about your most memorable experience of engaging with Mr. Harold Burson. One story of you and him catching up or having a conversation, some story from that era.
I know. I thought he would be sad for so many years, being alone in a way. Not alone, but alone.
Right.
So when I met him a year ago, and his brain was fabulous. But I think he was looking at the world, and we talked a lot about it. It's sad. That's all I can say.
Right, fair enough. So Genesis has gone through 3 or 4 avatars. So Genesis Public Relations, then Genesis BM, and then Genesis has become BCW. So tell us about the entire metamorphosis of this firm you created. I mean, I'm sure you are proud and happy to see what you created as a small seed and planted that in 1992. It has become a huge tree now with branches all across the country, with people or alumni who have become CEOs of other firms or senior corpcom leaders at big corporations. So tell us about the entire metamorphosis and the way you saw it happening and unfolding in front of you in the last few years.
Martin Sorrell.
Okay.
So Martin Sorrell, he met me, and then he said that, we should come together. So I said, and why do you think so? I mean, right now we just have a partnership, but I think the best thing is he said, I think we should work together. So I said, I don't believe in doing partnerships. And he said, why? So he said, because you will tell me 70% you will take, and we'll have the smaller part. So I said, that doesn't work. And so he said, then how do you sell? If you want to, what do you want to do? I said, it's 100 or it's 0. Otherwise, it's a joint venture, and I don't know have you seen how many have gone out? I'm not going to do it. My husband being a lawyer, when I went home and I said, well, this is what happened and this is what I said. So it's either 100 or 0. And he didn't know what to say because I just decided. So I said, decided is in my mind, but my team, all the people who have been for so many years, will go to the hills and we will decide. So only one person said, no, we should not. Everyone else said, yes, we should. Because only how will we grow beyond India is if we do that. So we decided. And that's how it is. And I think that is really good. And that's why a good question that you asked me this way. I really thought a lot about it. And I said, if we are going to just be in the same way, it's not going to go further. I don't have to be there. I don't have to be something which I have to do to make it big. I let them grow. Today, if I walk out, nothing will go wrong at all. And that's what's happened now. That it is, I'm so proud with Donna. She's a fantastic woman. She just, when she came and the meeting, she said, tell me what it is that you think is for you. And I said, that is for you. Whatever you think is good, I've done my best. And that's it. She said, no, you have to stay. And I think, as I said earlier, I love the new business. So I cannot do all of that. That's too big and with the two businesses. So I'm just making sure that if I'm there with everyone on a big, I must get a big ones.
Nice, interesting.
I love that.
So I met you for the first time, Prema, if you remember, 17 years ago at the Pune airport. I was in Symbiosis studying. I came to pick you up because you were being honored that evening at our college for kind of Lifetime Achievement Award back in 2003.
Yes.
And on the way from the airport, you asked me a question saying, what are you planning to do next? And I said, I want to work. You said, why don't you join us? We are starting a program called the ALP. And I had no clue about ALP then, and I learned more about it a few days later. And I said, okay, if this is a program that will make me solid in my foundation, let me sign up and join the program. And I joined. But tell us about the whole thinking that went into creating ALP and how it has grown in the last 16, 17 years.
You know, if you don't have a school, then what do? People will come and people will go and they will not learn. I went to UK and the money that I got from somebody here, there and everything, and I went for a 1 month.
This is to Frank Jeffrey.
Yes, it was, and I can't tell you how much I learned. And I said, that must come back to others. And I don't know how many you know, how many people from Genesis have gone through ALP and still continuing. I think it's the best thing that ever happened, really.
Right. So as a leader of the new combined entity, BCW Group India, what's your vision for the next 3 to 4 years for the organization? Where do you see yourself letting the organization go 3 to 4 years from now?
Very tough one, because you can see, you've seen our hub that's launched in Asia Pac, that one. I think the public affairs needs to be much bigger, and some little thing that we do is the Speakers Bureau. It's not small. It's grown extremely well, and I think these are the kind of creativity is the most important. And writing is going down the, I don't want to say, but it is pretty pathetic. And I think we are putting back ABC from now.
Interesting.
This came from Deepshikha saying that we are not seeing enough and we have to. It's sad though.
No, interesting to hear that. The other thing that has been close to your heart and a passionate project that you have been part of from its inception is Genesis Foundation. Tell us about why you led yourself to start Genesis Foundation and the story of the foundation in brief.
Yeah, we lost a child, our second son, and with heart disorder. At that time, we didn't know what is that.
How little was he when that happened?
He was about, he was full-time, but when he came out,
Okay.
he was about 2 days later. The heart didn't work anymore. So when you go through something like this, you don't know at that time that how can a child have a heart and die? So then after years ago, I got into Mother Teresa. I spent a lot of my time, and even now you will see a film in another, maybe next year, or yeah, it'll be probably not knowing the situation right now, but I think in this film is going to be beautiful. But it's not just about Mother Teresa, it's a story. So anyway, so now going back to that, when I went to hospitals and looked for children with heart disorder, that exactly the child just died. So that's how I started it. And slowly and slowly we, grown. Now, because I wasn't too well last year, so my daughter has taken charge, and she's doing a lot of wonderful work actually. So we're doing 2 children, 1.5 child actually, it's if I put it that way or say, is every day 1.5 child is alive.
So 45 children a month.
Yes, yes. So that we are very happy to bring in so many children. We go into their houses. They have less than 10,000 rupees per month. So they actually, if you looked at 10,000 for them is too much. They say only the child, if that money, we only have 5,000 or 6,000 or 3,000 or 4,000. We give them the best. And some of the surgeries are about 6 lakhs, 4 lakhs, and 97, 98% success. And I think we started also from the south. I know you like a lot the south as well. There is a lot of hospitals. It is wonderful to go there. And I think from there to Bombay, of course, over here in Gurgaon and Delhi, and we have not been able to go to Kashmir, and we've not been able to go to the Northeast.
You still can do that.
We will. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So my last couple of questions before we end this interview with the rapid fire is, there are a lot of youngsters choosing PR as a career today, and that's my favorite question to all our guests. What is your advice to a young person in his or her 20s, just graduating, that he or she should be prepared for to enter this now slightly chaotic, complicated, crazy world of public relations? It isn't still as bad as some people think it to be, but what's your advice to a youngster getting into the profession?
I find youngsters don't want media, they want digital or anything else. I think it's tough actually for them.
So what's your advice for him or her who says, I want to get into this profession? What should he or she be prepared for?
No, this is exactly what it is. I mean, they must come into what they want to. We're not going to push it, no. So now we also, what we do is we'll take digital and media and creativity and all of that, so that you should go through it and then make a decision. But if they've come in and said, this is exactly what I want and nothing else, then we should.
Interesting.
So the training is the most important.
Right. So you're saying that youngsters should be ready to embrace training.
Yeah.
Be ready to embrace a lot of hard work and learning in the initial
Yeah.
years and not look at it as a shortcut to success, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. If someone wrote a biography of Prema Sagar, or if you yourself wrote your autobiography, what would you call it?
No, nothing.
Now, I'm asking this so that one gets a sense and sums up your professional journey, your career in a phrase or a word.
Like what? What do you...
I don't know. Like Mahatma Gandhi called his autobiography The Story of My Experiments with Truth.
I told you Mother Teresa.
Yeah, that's the person who inspires
Mother
you.
Teresa is my God, actually.
Interesting. Fascinating to hear that. I think I enjoyed...
See, let me tell you.
Sure.
You don't see gods.
Yeah.
I have.
No, fascinating.
If
to
you
hear
don't,
that.
you don't know. I mean, I'm of course, there's, there are many people will have whatever. Everyone is a god to you. So for me, I felt that there was no God after losing a child. Then when I went to Mother Teresa and the home and working with the children there, I said, that is a real God.
Thanks for sharing these interesting anecdotes and stories, Prema. It was lovely chatting with you, and I'm hoping 2 things happen sooner than later. Your book that you've been talking of.
Yes.
And the film on Mother Teresa as well, which we'd all love to see, because I know you
Yes.
have a role to play in it in some form or the other.
Yes.
Before we conclude, I'll do a quick set of 7-8 questions, a rapid fire with you.
I'm not a rapid.
That's okay. You can take your time. We'll give you 15 seconds. We'll give people 10 seconds. The questions are not very difficult. You can choose not to answer if you feel some of them are not appropriate. So tell us your favorite book, your one book that you love and keep reading again and again or looking
I
at.
know there's a book. It's in home, and I've put it very well. Which my mother had this book, and that was this woman who first time went in to fly. And I was very angry because when I asked my dad, when I said, why can I not be a flyer? And he said, you're a woman. So I said, what do you mean by that? And I was about maybe 17 years. And so I said, let me be the first person because, you're in the Indian Air Force. And he said, no, you will never have it. So I didn't like that at all. Then this book my mother was reading, and then she said, read this. And that was the lady who did and I'll give you that book. If I can get a new one, that one is in all.
Do you remember the name of the book? No.
I'll give it to you.
We'll do. You're changing the definition of rapid fire, but that's okay.
Yes.
Tell us your most trusted brand. One brand you trust the most.
Yeah, don't ask me that. There are so many lovely brands.
So give us a couple of names. We'll choose the first one.
Many.
Your favorite brand.
Whether it's Nestle, whether it's Diageo, whether it's L'Oreal.
Those are all your client brands.
I say, the ones that you love and you love them.
You don't drink, so how is Diageo your favorite brand?
And when you love each other, otherwise you cannot. It's not PR is not just because you've just done a job. It is also, you're very much, it's together. Look at Park Hotel. That was one Park Hotel and one in Calcutta and all that. And she is done fabulous with
Interesting. Your favorite holiday spot? One place you love to go back to again and again. I know there are 2 or 3, but tell us one of those.
Kasoli.
Your favorite.
Yeah.
And outside the country.
When I just got married, I ran away from my dad and I ran away from college and I got married. And so he took me, my husband said, let's go up and we'll go to Shimla. And then I went, then he said, let's go, and some friends of all of us were going up. This is interesting, I know I must tell you the story, because then what I did was that, when we went up to Kasoli, yes, went up there, I said, this is where I want to live. And my mother said, that's not Switzerland, that's Kasoli. So I said, yeah, that is Kasoli, everything is Kasoli. And so I am in Kasoli, and I have been in Kasoli forever. And we have the Kasoli Rhythm and Blues Festival.
Right.
Yes.
Which is a campaign on its own strength that has done so well over the years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my dad didn't want me to do music, and I said I will, and I did.
Oh, fascinating. Tell us one Indian communicator that you admire.
You mean like Harold Bursell?
Could be, if that's the person you want to stick to.
I think what he's done for the world is, I'm going again to say that. And I think what Donna, I say what a woman she is, the way she has put in, 7, 8 companies and works really good.
Interesting.
And I'm so proud of
Name one professional role model of yours other than these two.
Between the two?
No, other than these two. A professional role model could be outside of communications and PR.
Jacqueline, who was doing this film, she walked into my house about 10, 12 years ago. And she said she was going to do this film of Mother Teresa. And I said, really? And she has spent 12 years for this film. And it's not about Mother Teresa. The story is Mother Teresa in it. It's a wonderful, heartful story. And I just cannot, everything I think about of us, how quickly can we get it? That's the most important thing. And I think how she's done Bombay, Calcutta, US, Switzerland, anywhere and everywhere. That is just for, it's going to go into 5 foundations.
Interesting.
Not into her. So these kind of people who are so giving, they are,
Fascinating, yeah.
yeah.
And the last question, describe Prema Sagar in 3 words.
Enjoying life.
That's 2 words, one more word.
Enjoying is one.
Okay, 2 more words.
Enjoying health, happiness.
I'll stop at that. Thank you, Prema. It was lovely having you with us. It was a great conversation and knowing so much more in depth than what we already know of you. I hope you enjoyed doing this interview as much as I did just now.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sparing this time and hope to see you be part of the BCW's Golden Jubilee in India 23 years from now.
I have to do one with you, and I'll start with you.
You can do that when I turn 30,
Yes.
5 more years from now.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
That'll be
It was
great.
lovely talking. Thanks, Prema.
And thank you for all
Pleasure.
this. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
That was Prema Sagar. Most of you in the world of public relations in India know this name, have seen her, heard of her, heard her, and maybe worked with her in some form or the other. Prema now is the chairperson for BCW Group in India, and we've heard her fascinating life story in the last few minutes. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.